All right, welcome back to Know the Odds. We're going to jump right into our three best bets of the week, two of the NFL. Again, you can check us out at Know the Odds to keep up with our progress, see how far we're up or down, and just learn more about the channel. I had a great time with family just watching week one. There is one game that Vegas is paying attention to more than all the rest of them, and I'll explain why, because they're influencing two of our best bets today. The Browns and the Chiefs played each other, and it was a good game. The Chiefs won, as was expected, but it was interesting because the Browns, of course, led the game most of the way through until around the fourth quarter, and then it started going back and forth a little bit, and some mistakes were made, and yada yada. The game had the expected result in the end. Now, I want to explain why I think Vegas is taking this game out of proportion. Week 2, the Texans are at the Browns, and the Chiefs are at the Ravens. Now, I go through every week and I handicap all the games, putting the odds down that make sense. And this week, as usual, I come pretty close, within a point or two of what Vegas is putting out on most all the games, except for just a few. And the ones that are really have a large point difference is Texas and Browns game and the Chiefs and Ravens game. Now, Vegas is thinking that the public image of one of these two teams or both of these teams has changed because of how they went down in week 1. It's like the Browns made God bleed a little bit, and now there's blood in the water, and people are coming for them. I would encourage you not to take a dramatic approach, as usual, when it comes to making your bets. Break it down. Who are these teams? What do we expect of them? And can we make a bet off the lines that we get out of these? Our first best bet is going to be in the Texans-Brown game. The spread favors the Browns 12.5 points. Now, the Browns are an okay team. I expect them to do about as they did last year, make it a little ways into the playoffs at least. And the Texans are in the bottom 5. Now, I don't have any unrealistic views of the Texans because they scored a lot of points this week against Jacksonville. That doesn't really sway my opinion that much. But 12.5 points is a pretty ridiculous spread. To say that any team is going to beat another by 4 times the average win is making a pretty bold statement. Now, maybe people really do believe that the Browns are the next best thing because they led the Chiefs for most of a game. That's great, but it's not. It doesn't change who they are as a team or how many points they're expected to make per game, no matter the opponent. 12.5 is too big of a spread for me. That's best bet number 1. Texas to cover the 12.5 point spread. All right. With a similar reasoning, we got the Chiefs and Ravens game, which is just a little too unrealistic for my liking. The Ravens have been talked up a lot, and they've got nothing to show for it. The Chiefs, on the other hand, are a Super Bowl favorite this year again. In both of these teams' games last week, confirm these theories. However dramatic the Ravens game was in Las Vegas, neither of those teams played very well, and I'm not expecting the Ravens to be able to keep up with the Chiefs at all, least of all up to the 4-point spread that sportsbooks would have you believe that this game should be at. The point spread should be significantly higher than 4 points in favor of the Chiefs. The Browns and the Chiefs has to have an influence on these lines that they're making on these two teams, because the difference between what Vegas has and what's realistic is just too great of a distance. So that'll be best bet number 2, Chiefs to cover the 4-point spread against the Ravens. Moving on, bet number 3. Here we just have good old-fashioned handicapping. Let's look at the Bengals versus the Bears. It is a -3 game in favor of the Bears, and I'll tell you why I don't really like that. You got to go back to look at who these teams are from last year, what's changed over the off season. It's still week 2. You can still do that. By week 3, next week, these teams are going to be everybody's going to be established in who they are, establishing trends. But for now, you can still take a little bit of influence from the previous year. You have to. You only have 1 week to base all of your information off of. And what these two teams were from last year and the difference that they are here. And the difference between the Bears last year and the Bears this year is pretty great. They are essentially a gutted team. A lot of missing players, large lack of leadership on the field. I'm rooting for Andy Dalton, but there's nothing to make me believe that he's going to get it done. And their week 1 performance backs that up. On the other hand, the Bengals. They were looking great up until Joe Burrow got hurt last year. Now this year, with a couple of additions and weapons on offense, they're looking even, and with Joe Burrow back and healthy, they're looking even better than they were last year. And again, their performance this week backs up that hypothesis. Now the sports books have the Bears winning by 3 points. I have it the exact opposite. I think it's at least a 3-point advantage to Cincinnati. So you got a 6-point difference between what the sports books have and what a realistic view of it is. And that's plenty of cushion to make it one of our best bets of the week. Our third one, in fact, and that'll close it out for all 3 of our best bets. Going to have the Texans, the Chiefs, and the Bengals to cover their individual spreads. That'll wrap it up for us today. Keep track of our progress at knowtheodds.net. Go check us out. I hope you guys are doing great. Best of luck to you. Let me know if you had any bad beats in week 1 down in the comments. I'd love to hear about them and mourn with you. Those are awful, but we're constantly looking forward. So that's what I'm doing. I'm looking forward to the week 2, and I'll see you guys all there. Take care. Good luck.